Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is my first sit down video of 2021. It is so crazy to think about 2021 and like the fact that it's already 2021. It's just crazy. So today I wanted to sit down and talk a little bit about, it's going to be a quick video, don't worry, but I wanted to sit down and talk about reflections of 2020 and just kind of like how the year went in general, and then resolutions for 2021. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and keep watching. But before you do, don't forget to click that subscribe button down below, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to comment down below what your New Year's resolutions are for yourself. I decided to switch up the light a little bit, so if it looks a little different, that's why. But I'm gonna go ahead and start with 2020. In 2020, Jake and I left Houston, where we got married. Like, we got married in 2019 on the 28th of December. Well, we had our wedding. And then we went back to Colorado in the very beginning of January, like the 1st. So January and February were, you know, all about him finishing a school and things like that. And we thought we were preparing to move to Germany. And obviously, if you've been around here since then, you know that that didn't happen then, but we ended up staying in Colorado from February and March to June, the end of June. So like the last day of June. So this year for me has been a lot about patience and a lot of focus on mental health. I think that's been that way for a lot of people this year, but it has been a really tough year for a lot of us. Obviously, for majority of the world. The one thing that I really feel like 2020 has taught me is patience, because we had a lot of waiting around, a lot of quarantines. We're currently in quarantine, so a lot of quarantine, and it will probably continue into 2021. But something that I did really enjoy about 2020 is that we got to move overseas to Germany, which also kind of contributed to my tough year, but I'm looking for the positives all in 2020 and continuing into 2021. So that's pretty much what happened in 2020. I was a lot more worried about health than I was before. I mean, as for the most of us, I'm assuming, but I get really bad anxiety when it comes to health. For some reason, being in pain, being hurt, being sick really just is a trigger for anxiety for me. So this year was fairly difficult in that realm, but in 2021, one of my resolutions, which I'm gonna go ahead and get started with those, it's not a long list, but I'm just trying to take it easy, you know? This year, I really want to focus more on my mental health and like understanding why I have like specific, I don't like this word because I feel like this word is a trigger, but triggers for anxiety. So that's something that I'm gonna work on this year. I started a anxiety workbook, which my mom sent me at the end of last year, because the end of last year, I would say like October, November was probably two of like some of the worst months that I've had with anxiety last year. So my mom sent me a anxiety workbook that she found on Amazon, which I can link it down below. I obviously haven't completed it yet, so I can't give like a full-on review or recommendation, but if it is something that you're interested in looking into, I will link it down in the description box below. But anyways, so yeah, that is one of my resolutions for this year, is to be more aware of my mental health and just kind of like how I can be proactive when it comes to my mental health instead of just knowing that I have it and not really knowing what to do about it. And especially with Germany being in lockdown right now, and we're in quarantine, so like it doesn't really matter, but we aren't really sure what this year is gonna look like. So I want it to be something that I am handling with the good mental health and headspace this year. So something that I didn't really realize that I had to do last year, and it kind of got thrown at all of us. So that is one of my resolutions for this year, is to focus more on my mental health. Kind of along the same lines, but something that goes towards like all of my life is what I'm trying to do, is my word of the year is balance. I really want to have a balance in all aspects of my life. I want to be able to balance my anxiety, like I said. I want to be able to balance my feelings, my mental health, my life, work, YouTube, everything, how much time I spend on social media, how much time I, care about other people's opinions or, whatever. So some of the examples that I used whenever I was like explaining my word to people is that I want to have a good balance of knowing whether my anxious feeling is an anxious feeling like scared, like fear, nervousness, stress, things like that, versus like just anxiety that I have and it's unexplainable to me. Because I definitely experienced that this year, because I feel like in the past I've just kind of like pushed everything into one category of like anxiety, and I feel like that wasn't really beneficial for me. So what I'm going to try to do this year is understand in my mind like when I'm nervous, when I'm scared, when I'm stressed, when I'm actually anxious, versus, if it's just situational stress, which all of it can be considered anxiety, but in my mind it helps me to separate those things into different categories, I guess. Another thing that I really want to balance is my relationship with God and faith. I know that, obviously not everybody watching this is religious, but something for me that I felt like in the past was an issue for me is being full on like gung-ho, reading my Bible every second I could, talking about faith all the time, all this kind of stuff. And then if I wasn't like that, I felt like I just wasn't faithful or like wasn't religious at the time, which I feel like is not really fair. I want to learn how to balance that and have faith and be a light to other people while also like doing everyday things that everybody does and being human, but also like trying really hard to have good faith. So I just want to have balance. And one thing that my dad told me last year was like right whenever we were talking about whether or not we were going to go home, which was a huge deal for us. We obviously ended up going home if you saw my last video, but my dad said to me, which I feel like is kind of like my motto for this year too, is it's not your responsibility. So whenever I was talking to him, it was in the specific situation of what if we go home, we get sick and someone else gets it and is extremely sick, or what if we don't go home and it's just, the what ifs, but what if we don't go home and this was our last Christmas to see certain people or like whatever. So my dad was like, it's not your responsibility to be worried about whether someone is sick or not, or like safe or not. You can only do what is good for you, and it's not your responsibility to worry about other people's, opinions and lives and things like that. And I feel like it's coming off in a way of like not to worry about other people, but I am someone who worries to the point that it actually affects my life. So I want to try this year to not make everything my responsibility, not worry about everybody and worry about other people's decisions and things like that. I can get really wrapped up in someone else's decision and just kind of feel like so heavy about, what other people are doing and the decisions they're making when like it's not my responsibility. So that is one thing that I'm working on this year. And my last thing is kind of a like normal resolution, but my last thing is to continue learning German. In this, I want to keep like emphasizing continue, because I don't want to throw that at myself like I want to learn German by the end of the year, because I feel like that's just like not something that can be done in a whole year. I mean, I can learn as much as possible, but you can't like know a whole language in 1 year. So I just want to continue learning German. I want to continue making it a priority for me living in Germany, obviously. And I have a list. This is one like concrete goal, but I have a list of the 1,000 most commonly used words in German, and my goal for this year is to learn all of them, which I've already learned like 150, so it's not like I'm starting new, but I do want to continue and eventually learn 1,000 words that I have on the list, and then also continue learning grammar and sentence structure and phrases and things like that. So that is my last concrete goal. Y'all let me know what goals and resolutions and reflections you have about last year and goals for this year. Let me know down in the comments below. And that is the video. I really hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to click that subscribe button down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Which also, one more thing, let me know if you're watching this and you have an opinion, which I'm sure a bunch of you don't, but if you have opinions on when I upload, what days I upload, how many times I upload, let me know down in the comments below. I'm curious to see, do you actually notice whenever I have a schedule? Let me know. If you don't, good, because that's a lot less stress for me, a lot more balance for me to, it'll be okay if I don't upload one day that I'm supposed to upload, you know what I mean? So anyways, that is everything. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.